That's considered professional, right?
Cover it.
Right, to protect your feet. Also, you're going to be standing and walking everywhere. So sneakers can be considered professional attire depending on the setting you're in, right?
Yeah.
But if you're doing a conference, what would attire look like that's professional? A collared shirt, right? Some people do a blazer. It used to be high heels for women, but culture has changed around that, hasn't it? Because women want to be comfortable, right? So you can also have women who are in flats. That used to not be considered professional unless you had a medical condition to wear flats and you were a presenter or something. But now we see it can be reimagined. What does professional communication look like? Cause I'm like, hey child, hey girl, what you doing? Hey Malachi, what's up, bro? What you doing? Is that professional?
No.
Immediately not.
Well, I think it differs like it depends on who you're talking to. So like you gotta speak to your professor like, hey babe or something like that. That's not professional. But maybe if you're speaking to like your girlfriend or something, that's okay.
So,
But
but even okay, so let me ask you this. Even say you and your real good friend are at work though, and y'all have that because you're talking about relationship, right?
Mhm.
You have a good relationship with someone. If you're as a nurse, you've gotten your degrees, y'all are nurses, and people are in the hospital environment. Do you think if they see y'all being girl, child, hey girl, do you think people would think that's professional?
no.
So that's a very good point. You can have a really good relationship with someone, but still the environment you're in demands that you have a certain type of decorum, right? And how you move professionally, meaning do people view you as professional, in my opinion, is attached to whether they think you're competent. Because if you may be the best nurse on the floor, and I see you talking about, girl, child, I don't want you coming to pull my blood. I don't. I mean, look, can I get the young lady over there? I'm going to be hesitant, right? And so being professional is very important because it does impact how people view you in the world. Whether it's right or wrong, it's the first impression they make of you, right? And we know how important impressions are, right?
Yeah.
It can either open a door or close the door based on someone's impression of you. So you want to always, especially with career readiness and professional development and career opportunities, being professional is very important. You rather people assume the best of you than the worst. Okay, so today our speaker, I'm so excited she's here, very accomplished. This is Miss Mary Blake. Hello. And you all can see all her accomplishments. She has a BSc, an MS in disease and global health. Oh my goodness. And a PhD in public health. So we are very fortunate to have her here, and I'll give her the floor, Miss Blake.
First of all, thank you for having me. I know we've got an intimate, can we get together? You want to come a little closer? You don't have to if you don't want to. We're gonna be friends. All right, so yeah, first, thank you all for having me. I absolutely love getting a chance to talk to students because I was a lot just like you. Back in the day, I started at Eastfield College, which is also a community-based college in Dallas. Then went to UTA where I got my BS degree, then eventually made it to Tufts, and now at Purdue finishing off my doctoral program. So have a lot of experience in just being a student and figuring out the hard way sometimes what these type of entities are looking for. And professionalism has a lot to do with it, communication has a lot to do with it, and then a lot of things that people don't even tell you is not just the way you show up, but your perception of confidence when you enter a room. So a little bit about me. I actually am a professor as well. I teach at Trinity River downtown campus, and I also teach at Northeast campus. And I'm also, like I said, finishing up my doctoral degree. I started at Baylor Hospital working as a laboratory technician there, and then I eventually went on to Icon Pharmaceuticals, where I worked as a clinical research associate. And basically what that is whenever you have clinical trials, you travel to the facility or the medical school or clinic, and you audit those facilities to ensure that they're following local and federal regulations. Excuse me. So travel is a very big component. The higher up you go, you will be considered as an expert. So if you're a doctor, nurse, even IT, a lot of times your company or your hospital will pay for your travel to go and either teach other places or to learn and further develop your clinical consulting skills. That being said, when you're traveling, when you're going to different places, you're going to meet so many different types of people. Every type of ethnicity, every type of socioeconomic background, every type of just ideology. And so when it comes to professionalism, go to the next one. When it comes to professionalism, a lot of other things that are important are how you show up around these types of people. That is, do you show up with someone who has a completely different perspective on maybe it's politics, maybe it's life, maybe it's abortion, maybe it's higher education, maybe it's financial status. How do you still present as respectful and as interested as to not shut them off, as to validate their living experience, but to still stand true into whatever your specific values are. So accountability and responsibility is huge for that too. We have to be accountable to ourselves before we can be accountable to anybody else. We show up for us every day because the work that we put in for ourselves actually will predetermine and will go ahead of us. So, for example, I can send my credentials everywhere and everybody already knows who I am and what I can do without me having to do it again because I've already put in the work. Secondly, strong work ethic. No matter what you do, you're going to have to put in the work, late nights. Luckily, I think you said you were going into pre-med. So strong work ethic is going to be very important for those nursing, IT, whatever you guys are planning to do. And it looks like you already kind of have developed a lot of those skills. So kudos and just keep that up. Clear communication. This is actually a problem that we have in the clinical industry. When you think of a word like health, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Health. First word.
Hospital.
Okay. First word that comes to mind when you think of health.
A medical facility.
Medical facility. First word that comes to mind.
PE.
PE. Okay. So there are 3 different people here. First word that comes to mind when you think of health. Body. 4 different people here and 4 slightly different interpretations of one word, health. As you progress in your career, believe it or not, it becomes more convoluted. You can use the same words, health, accountability, and what happens is people end up on what their interpretation of that word is, or their interpretation of the topic that's going to be discussed. So one of the most important things that even I do today is I define what I'm going to be talking about, because you can never assume that people are going to automatically understand. We're all educated individuals here, and we still have slightly different understandings of a word that's so objective anyway, you know? So anyway, clear communication is going to be super important. Always define your terms. It's still a problem actually in the medical industry today because especially people who have different values, different ideologies, they're not always understanding what that means. So communication is definitely something that needs to be improved upon. Respect for others, this should go without saying, but again, you can never assume. You also are going to have to realize that if you work with patients, they're going to be disrespectful. Some of them are just going to be disrespectful. As we are here developing the acumen of excellence, we're developing into the best version of ourselves. We're trying to become better physically, mentally, spiritually, psychologically, medically. Not everyone is on that journey. Not everybody cares about that. So you're definitely going to come into contact with patients, especially who are not going to respect you. That being said, how do you respect someone who doesn't respect you? You still acknowledge their pain, you acknowledge the ailment, you acknowledge the reason that they're there, and you still treat them as a respectful person. And little by little, a lot of times they'll see that and they'll start to realize that regardless of how they treat you, you're treating them with respect, kindness, and courtesy. And they'll follow suit a lot of times. But you'll a lot of times have to be the one to first initiate that respect, even if it's not reciprocated. Integrity and honesty. So I'm not sure how much you guys see in the news a little bit. Who knows kind of who maybe R.F. Kennedy is, the Health and Human Services
He's
Secretary?
the brother of John F. Kennedy?
I think it's his uncle, but he is family. So in short, there is become a lot of scrutiny and a lot of controversy in the healthcare field, specifically our regulation and compliance agency. So it's going to be the Center for Disease Control, which is CDC, NIH, and HHS. And the problem, the concern, was that integrity and honesty were breached. Now, they're trying to go back and look to see just how much of that is true and how much of that was actually not even true. But that being said, healthcare is a business, medicine is a business, pharmaceuticals is a business. There are people that get into it for the money. That means that not everyone's going to be honest. Not everyone's going to have integrity. Because we have integrity, because we're honest, again, we assume that our counterparts and our colleagues will and that they should. But that's not always the case. You yourself lead yourself honestly, lead yourself with integrity, because you will see people who will not. And they get into it for the wrong ethical or moral reasons. And that ends up causing problems later down the line. Arriving on time and prepared. I have to admit, I still struggle. We're not perfect. I have to admit, I have to set my alarm for whatever time I need to be somewhere, almost an hour and a half early to get there, because otherwise I'm running in, doing several things. The higher you go, the more responsibilities you'll get. The more responsibilities you get, the more important time management is for you to allocate to each specific thing. And so some variables that you can't control, traffic, weather, it will impact that. So I will say time management, arriving on time and prepared, very important. Try and give yourself extra time, otherwise you'll feel like you're running from place to place. So again, we're not perfect, and we do want to still have fun. That being said, if you know you're going to be running late, just let someone know. Communicate that. Or if you've got to reschedule due to their own time constraints, because we want to be respectful of the time of the people that we're going to see, you let them know as well.
Can I pick you back?
Yeah, please.
So, like Mary just shared, I have time management, especially when you have a lot of personal things you're juggling on top of professional. I think it's very key that part of being your professional development is knowing where you have areas of growth and where you have strengths. Because then you plan around the areas where you need growth, right? Because we're human, right? No one's perfect. You can't be perfect in every area of your life. And I think that's a big part of being professional is awareness and self-assessment about who you are and what additional support you need to make sure you're professional. Or collaborations, like in career services, we have some who are very strong technically with technology. Some of us are good, I'm good at planning and program management. And we all come together to provide a professional result or service to our students. But we all have areas we need to develop in, and that lends me that professionalism also deals with continued education. If there's an area you're struggling in, it is up to you as a professional to get the education in that area, or find supports so you can bring your most professional self.
Absolutely. It's an experience. It's a whole journey.
Yeah.
And the last one that I wanted to touch on is taking ownership of your work. Now, a lot of times people initially will think taking ownership of maybe something that they have made a mistake on. Like, oh, I messed up, that's on me. Yes, it's part of it. But what a lot of times they don't tell you, and no one told me this, when you do something well, take ownership of that too. A lot of times we, especially as healthcare providers, you come off very empathetic, very, we're the nurturers, we're the support, we're in this as a team. Yes, all of that is true. But that being said, when you're putting in this hard work, you're putting in the ethics, still take ownership and pride in the work that you actually do. When you get to a place where you start publishing papers, where you start doing public speaking, where you start doing things in the medical community on their social media, where you start volunteering, take ownership of those things. Number one, because you're gonna need it to accelerate to the next level in your career. Number two, because believe it or not, when it comes to getting new positions, when it comes to being looked at as the subject matter expert, as the professional in that field, those are some of the little things that nobody tells you about that slightly will set you on top of your counterparts. And especially if you get to nursing, medical, IT, it becomes very, very competitive. So those little things you can do, little speaking engagements like this, even at the school, little papers that you can write, take ownership of that. And let's see. Oh, we have an activity.
A professional or not?
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can be like a man of light. So, showing up late with no explanation, professional or not?
Not.
It's not. Great. We just talked about if you're gonna be late, let them know so it's respectful of their time, and also they can plan accordingly.
Can I give a real world example of that? This morning I reached out to my boss and said I'm gonna be, my ETA is 15 minutes after the time I'm supposed to be, because I was having an allergy attack. Y'all know the pollen, that's not something I can control. But my normal day goes a certain way, but I was having this massive attack and swelling and pollen was everywhere. So I made sure I let her know ahead of time, because what you don't want is your team members to show up and they expect you there, and then you're not there, and there's no explanation.
100%.
Yeah.
Next we have emailing. Hey, I can't come in today. Professional or not?
Not.
It's not. Because again, just like he said, to let them know via email, and also hopefully a phone call if you're going to be coming in late, and give them a little bit of context. And we have fixing a mistake before being asked. Is this professional or not?
Professional?
Yes. So I don't know how you guys planned out the game. So it can be either. It's professional because if you know it's a mistake, it goes into taking ownership of it, and like, hey, I see the window is dirty. I'm gonna clean it. No one needs to ask me to do it. I'm just gonna take ownership of it. That is professional. Only time it's not is when you're in a scenario where there's a lot of variables. maybe there's someone hurt, and maybe the mistake is more of like information that needs more collaborating parties. So that's when communication is always important too. So that you know that whatever you're fixing truly needed to be fixed in the way that you're thinking. But yeah, professional, thank you. And then last we have ignoring feedback from a supervisor. Is that professional or not professional? I know we want to, right?
I think it's both.
Okay, explain.
Well, it's feedback, so it's your choice to listen or not.
Okay, okay.
But at the same time, it's professional because if you listen, then I mean, the professor was not obviously wasting his time
Yeah.
giving you that feedback, and so it's professional if you listen. But sometimes the professor or the supervisor does not really know like the
They don't
context
truly
of-
grasp the scope of what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, you're not wrong, but from someone who's come and ignored feedback from a supervisor, don't do it. So yes, it is true that sometimes what happens is they don't truly grasp the scope of what you're doing or how much work you're putting in, and so the feedback, the criticism they're giving is not truly the whole story. It may be a part of what's going on. What you want to do in that situation when they're giving you constructive feedback is ask them more questions about if they can maybe sit with you, maybe further assess, give them some more context. But we never want to ignore feedback from supervisors, only because since they're technically our superiors, they're signing our paychecks, they're talking to their managers, and when it comes to promotions, when it comes to being looked at for the next role or for a project, you want to be that person that they consider putting in the application. But I completely understand what you're saying. Sometimes they're just so off, they don't really see it. But you just got to keep the process up of communicating and asking them more questions. So
Can I?
Yes,
on this
please.
one? On the ignoring feedback from the. I agree with you as far as never ignore, because it's an opportunity to communicate about what is the concern. So if someone gives you a critique, their experience or their observation may not be aligned with what your outcome is, but now that's the time to have a conversation. How you do that also determines, it's about relationship building and also getting clarity using the competency of communication. We talk about that because just like you said, you may not understand the full scope, so you're critiquing me by something and you have limited knowledge or insight. But then I want to know why do you feel that way? Because then maybe that's an opportunity for me to give you insight into what I do, and maybe it may change your evaluation process, or the critique may be valid. Because I just feel like if someone's having an experience and it leans towards negative, I think what we're challenged to do is identify why they're having a negative experience and now address it, whether it's through our work or through communication. Because you don't want that to be perpetuated. If you ignore it and then they come back again, now that starts to balloon into something else. If they had misunderstanding, you missed an opportunity to provide clarity, so maybe they adjust their evaluation, or it could be valid because they could be getting feedback from some other people's experiences, and now they're the person bringing it to you. So you never want to ignore feedback, whether you agree with it or not. The challenge is to now explore, why am I getting that feedback? It's an opportunity for exploration.
Yeah. And that also goes into how to address conflict in general. A lot of us, we don't like conflict, and so we automatically just kind of whatever they say, just like, okay, say okay, and don't stand up for yourself. Absolutely stand up for yourself, because if not, you can be railroaded. I mean, you unfortunately you can be thrown right up under the bus. So there are ways, just like she was saying, asking more questions so you can understand.
So I will share this too, because I work with 46 departments. They don't understand sometimes why I move the way I do. So when they do say something to me, I have a team and I'll say, let me see it from their perspective. I always say that. Let me see it from their perspective, because what I'm doing may be causing a problem for them on their end, or that maybe they don't understand. My gut reaction is to take it personal, right? That's, I think, human. We all just take things personal when someone critiques us. But then I try to step out of myself and give them the benefit of the doubt. And my team will hear me say, I can see it from their perspective. I can see how that. And then I take that opportunity to reach out to that person and say, this is my intent. And a lot of times I find out, oh, now I understand what you were trying to do. Now they understand my process. Or if I see that something I did that works well for my department but may cause a problem for another department, I get that feedback as well and say, this was my intent, but I didn't know this is what was going on. And one was like, we're short so many students and we need help because they asked me for another position and the budget didn't support that. And I was like, I could be like, the budget doesn't support that, they're just being greedy, da 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 da. But I went and had a conversation and said, okay, these are my constraints. I'm going based on the budget we have. What is going on? And then when I found out that they had someone who was leaving, someone was a no, then I went and then I actually advocated to see if we could find in the budget another position for them, because it was valid, their concern, right? So that communication. But if I had ignored it and been like, I'm right, the money says we ain't got it. So I don't know what they thought. I would have missed an opportunity to build a relationship and also advocate and meet a need of somebody I'm trying to serve. So yeah.
So what does it say?
That's what professionalism looks like in a place.
So we really covered most of these things, as you know. Expectations are higher than school. Yes, we talked about taking pride in your work and looking for small opportunities that you can do extra things. So I started off volunteering when I was at UTA, and I mean, they would just go out in the community. They have a volunteer group, and even when I went to Baylor, they also have volunteer groups, and they're always looking for people. It's no cost. And they go out on weekends. You can go once a month on a Saturday. So I started there just volunteering. But those are the type of things that start to build that level of accountability and expert. And then, communication is essential. Can't hone in on that enough. Just what Ms. Taylor was talking about. It is so essential because she's over so many departments. Eventually, you guys will become experts and leaders where you'll start to build with teams. These people are going to come from different countries, different languages, different ethnicities, different financial backgrounds, different family lives, different political backgrounds. And so, just as she was saying, you have to come to a place where you can say, I can see where they're coming from. I can understand their intent. So that was really beautifully said. Accountability is also expected. Again, goes without saying. Obviously, we always know anytime that we're wrong, it's a whole conversation. You take accountability for something that was done in error or something that was misinterpreted on your end. And small actions make big differences. So when people see that you care, when people see that you want to do a good job, when people see that you actually are in it because this is your purpose and your passion, that's when you start understanding the bigger picture. And that's when you actually get access into bigger places, access to more people. And then even when it comes to your patients, a lot of times they're not going to listen to you. But when they see that you care about who they are, when you can break information down to where it's understandable for them, then they're a lot more susceptible to actually following you, believing you, and that starts to set you apart. So, that's everything. Oh, okay. So it's just a reflection.
Yes.
Yeah. So what professionalism skills do I need to improve? Well, I will say time management for myself, since we're being honest.
Would y'all like to share?
Yeah, what about you guys? What professionalism skills would you like to improve, or do you need to improve?
Communication.
Communication, okay. How about yourself?
I think communication as well.
Okay, very good. Very good.
And for me, it's I overshare.
Same.
I'm an oversharer.
I'm a chatty Cathy too.
Yeah, so, and I've been told that sometimes I create confusion because I'm sharing too much, and those are part of internal processes that I don't need to share outwardly. Right, so yeah, violence communication.
Need to know basis.
Yeah.
You don't need to know.
Yeah.
No, but yes, communication. And those are things, these are skills that take time to develop. So don't feel bad that if it's communication, it's that you're under communicate too. Because I think we both probably started there.
Yeah.
And just over time, you just learn to, actually I've always been talkative, but I used to communicate a lot less. So.
Yeah.
How do I currently show up in school or work?
Praise, what's a professional way you show up in school or work?
Well, I try to. Well, at work, they told me before I started that there are certain things you cannot wear. So like half coats and short and
So you've changed your attire a little bit.
Yeah, so what I wear to work is not going to expose my body.
Oh, true.
Yeah. So for school, I just try to wear something that is not too distracting, so that people don't forget the teacher looking at me.
Keep them focused.
Yeah. So I just try to be like black monotone colors. So.
Okay, I mean you can still wear color. You can still make it fun, but
that is interesting because I will say, and of course I can't say names, but we have had discussions about how some students show up on campus.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, very distracting. It's like, are you here to find a partner, or are you here to go to school? Like,
a little bit both.
And so I think that's valid, because even if you're in a school, there's a balance, right? You still don't want to show up. Being casual doesn't mean being inappropriate. And I think some students need to learn that. And maybe even some staff, they need stuff. And I think because we're in a relaxed setting, a lot of people will think their casual gear is appropriate because we're not in a professional setting, but there is a professional way to be in school as well.
I saw your video.
What?
The video where you go.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw it. It was
Oh
a
yeah,
good
I was
video.
wondering.
What video? Share, please.
PTK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was elected as an officer in PTK.
Congratulations! Praise!
What did we say? Take ownership.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
So the video was my campaign video that she saw.
That's
Oh,
good.
fantastic. And that's wonderful that you acknowledge
Yes.
that. Thank you for that. That's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Yes.
Y'all are doing things and we don't know
Uh-huh.
about.
They're like, we're already doing this stuff. That's
Maliki,
good.
what do you, how do you show up in school or work? Are you professional? Because I know you're working.
Yes.
You are always, what does that look like, being professional on the job? How do you show up professionally on the job?
I always wear my Six Flags uniform.
So your attire,
Okay.
right? You're okay. I'm sure you're on time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Better than me. Good. And what is one change that we can make this week? One change. I tell you guys, one change that I make this week, I've been consistent with going to the gym and getting my workouts in. Because when you're physically fit, then you can be mentally fit, right? it has to do with consistency.
I think work ethic.
Work ethic, okay. Just
Yeah.
every time you're studying or every time that you're going to be working, you're consistent with that.
So what do you mean of, like, in
Yeah.
what capacity?
Like work ethic is a lot like working out.
Oh.
It's like you have to
You have
train
to-
your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Give your brain time and space, like set some time and space for you to be free to do what was like really on your mind.
So a balance. That's very important for professionalism being, I'm hearing a discipline, because being professional is being disciplined in an area, right? Whether it's showing up on time, speaking appropriately, but then also that work-life balance, because can you be professional if you're stressed?
Nope.
Usually you'll see people have, you know, episodes at work.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's part of
That's
being professional is
very
also
true.
knowing, taking time to take care of self-care and all those things. So you have a balance in your life. Okay. And can we, there too, I know y'all are QR code out, but this is how we get feedback from y'all, so we really appreciate it. One is about the workshop, well, both of them, just if y'all could do the questions for us, please, so we can get feedback, so we can better serve. And then also cultivate an experience that you all want to see, you know, so.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there anything like being too professional?
Ooh, what do you mean? Like, what behavior are you talking about?
Like some people are just like too serious. Come on.
So the seriousness.
Yeah, it's like, you know, chill,
I would say,
relax.
yeah. I would say that's when it's important to know your environment, read the room, as they'll say. If we're all coming in here, we're pretty, laid back, fun discussion about professionalism. If someone came in here in a tuxedo and they're just real stoic and
It's a bit much.
it's a bit much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, well, are they okay? Or,
Yeah.
so yeah, you can kind of read the room, and
Right.
or if it's like a conference you're going to, maybe research ahead of time and see like
Always look at pictures
always
of the
look at
prior
pictures
conference to see.
or
Some people are,
testimonials.
yeah. Some people are suited and booted. Some people, more conferences are made laid back. So,
Yeah.
but I think, like you said, people can. But there are industries that are very serious, right? So
Yeah.
you have culture and you have industry.
Yes.
So, like the accountants, I don't see them having fun, nor do I want them to have fun while they're dealing with my money. I want them focused, I want them serious, but maybe caterers, they're a little more laid back.
Yeah.
More creative industries
Yeah.
may have, so you're talking about culture. As far as
Both
the
are
industry,
still
so
professional,
you
though.
have
Yeah.
to read the room, but that's a valid
That's a
point.
good question.
Yeah, that is very valid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you one thing I'll take from you, Mary, in this workshop is taking ownership of the good things I do. Because I think a lot of times we don't celebrate
We
our
don't celebrate our
accomplishments.
wins. And I'm bad at that too.
Yeah, and it's very important because it has to do with upward mobility in an
Yeah.
organization. It also has to do with just your self-efficacy. Efficacy is your belief in your ability to
Yeah.
achieve something.
Exactly.
You should celebrate yourself because you work hard, and so you should take ownership. And it is a fine balance because we do know, let's talk about the ugly side of professional workspaces. Sometimes people will take credit for work you've done,
Exactly.
which can now breed a culture of resentment, right? So you do have to kind of strike a balance. I don't have all the answers, but I do know you have to be aware. So I'm gonna take that from this workshop.
Good.
Thank you.
You should.
Yeah.
That way, we walk into a room, we got our head held out, and one thing we didn't talk about is body posture.
Oh, that's true.
When some people come into a room, and I'll actually say STEM majors are bad at this. Because we spend so much time in labs and libraries and research places, when we go to conferences, rooms, and I used to be really bad at it. You kind of you're kind of hunched and you're kind of shuffling into the back, and you're like, I don't really want any attention. I don't really want, I don't want to talk. And it's fine if you're not naturally outgoing. But what happens is you look less confident. You look like you can't even do the tasks that you've been doing every day. You may not even know the task, but when you walk into a room, and what do you automatically see a difference of? That person is erect. That person, they've got their head up high. They're making eye contact. They're, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Hey, how you doing, man? Nice to meet you. You don't even know what they do, but you're like, I wanna work with this person. She knows her stuff,
Right.
and they might not.
Right. Versus someone who's doing like this. And
Right.
I'm sorry, y'all. Completely dished over. You don't have confidence in that person,
Yeah.
do you?
So body
Yes,
language,
that's
be proud of yourselves. Walk into a room with your head up. You don't have to know all the answers. I don't know all the answers, but I'm gonna pretend like I do until I actually do. But that
Be
goes
confident in your competencies.
Correct.
Because, and I say this to anywhere I go, I have the ability to do what you're asking me to do.
Mhm.
I may not know the task right out, but I have skills, professional training and soft skills that I can figure it out, right? I can go from point A to point B. I can go from the assigned task to the outcome, right? Is there really anything y'all can't do?
Nope.
Like if you're giving something and you're given time to process it?
Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
There's so much out there.
And the last thing I'll say, because I know you're probably gotta go, because we're in a small room of minorities, use your uniqueness as a strength. So, especially if you're wanting to go into leadership roles or whatever industry, medicine, nursing, IT, higher ed, use the fact that you are a woman, a person of color, as a strength and not as a weakness and not as something to shy back from. Number one, we can't change the way we're born. No one can. But number two, keep in mind, believe it or not, these entities work best when they have perspective and input from everybody's perspective. And a lot of times it's dominated by people who may look different than us, their age is way different than us, their socioeconomic background may be different than us. That doesn't mean they're better, and it doesn't mean that there's something that they lack that we can't give them. So one area that is my specialty is finding those areas of what they can't do, of the perspectives that they can't have, and offering that perspective in a way that's clear, that's conscious, that's respectful, that ticks all the boxes that otherwise they would have had difficult feeling. So just saying all that to say, as you continue to grow, you will become an even smaller minority. Use it as an advantage, because it absolutely is. Yeah.
That's real good.
With that, thank
Can
you
we
guys
give
for
a round of
having me.
applause?
I had
Thank
a
you.
good time.
Y'all don't have to, but this is a field trip coming up, so you can scan it and get the information.